Morning, guys. What's up? It's Matt here with Tanks Lawn Maintenance. It is currently 8 a.m. on the dot, and it is Tuesday morning, April the 21st, 2026, year of our Lord. It's a beautiful morning, man. Bluebird day, not a cloud in the sky, and it's 49 degrees. I don't know what's going on, man. We've been having some cool nights. I know here the past 2 weeks, man, the evenings have been in the 80s. The nights have been in the 70s. But now it's dropping down in the 40s at night and getting up to the mid 80s during the day. And which is not supposed to be but 79 today, which I don't believe that, because it was 60. It was the high yesterday was 68. It was supposed to be 68 and it wound up hitting 84. So I'm just gonna say the mid 80s again. But it's all good, man. I can handle it. I'm out here working, man. It's always a blessing when you can get out the house and get to work, man, because it could be a lot worse. Two things, we could be punching a time clock for somebody, which isn't awful, at least you're out able to make a living for yourself. But it still beats punching a time clock. And also, could be worse, man. You could just be in a situation where you ain't working at all. That sucks, man. It really does. I know how that is too. But anyways, guys, I've got 10 on the list today. And that very quickly creeped down to 8. But it's all good. I've got the big properties today. Got to head up to Appling. That's about a 20-minute ride to my first property, and then I'm gonna work my way back into town. I've got a 4-acre, a 2.5-acre, and a 1.5-acre. The first 3 that are getting done today, and then it'll probably be around noon when I get done with those 3, and then believe it or not, there's a lot of weed eating on that 4-acre property. He's got one of those hog wire fences all the way around his property, and he wants it weed eated both sides. And you know how that hog wire is, man. It will eat up some weed eater string. But it's all good. It's all good, man. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna do what we got to do, and hopefully I can get done at a decent hour today. Hopefully I can get done before all the suppliers close down. And that's another thing that's really starting to irritate me, man. The suppliers in my area, they all close at 4 o'clock. And for lack of better terms, guys, it's bullshit. It really is, because you got guys that like to be prepared for the next day. I understand they want to get home to their families too, but stay open till 5. Stay open till 5 at least. Because a lot of times I'm done by 4 and I can't get to the suppliers because it's going to take me 20 or 30 minutes to get there. And that's a pain. It really is. So, not to mention if you've got to go unload the trailer so you can have room on it to go pick up pine straw or pick up a pallet of sod or whatever it may be. It really is a pain, man. I'm not even lying about that. But whatever, man. It is what it is. It's circumstances you're faced with, and you just got to improvise. That means, I'm trying to get everything done by about 1 o'clock on Thursday. That way I can at least go and get all of the materials that I need. And I'm gonna start. I got 2 small sod jobs. One of them's a pallet and a half, and one of them's a half a pallet. I got 2 small sod jobs that I'm gonna do this weekend. I'm gonna try as hard as I can to do both of them Friday. Most likely I'll be able to, but you never know. I mean, time you get something in your head that you'll be able to, something happens. So I don't want to sit here and say I'll be able to get both of them done Friday, but I'm going to try as hard as I can to get both of them done Friday. And if I can get both of them done Friday, there's a cleanup that needs to be done. I'm going to get that done Saturday. And then the reason I want to get by the suppliers today is because I've got 2 customers that I've got to mow tomorrow, and they're both wanting pine straw. There's about 10 rolls a piece, and that's why it's irritating, man. Because if I go first thing in the morning, they don't open till 8 o'clock in the morning, which is another issue in itself. You're opening at 8, and then you're closing at 4. So it's not like I can leave the house early to go get what I need, come home, drop it off, pick up the mowers, and get started at a decent hour. No, I'm going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours behind because of it. So yeah, it's very frustrating. It really is. And I know all of these suppliers around here, they get a lot of bad reviews about it. But here's the thing about that, guys. What can you do? They've got it they kind of got their own little swagger, man. They're the only ones in the area. Simple as that. So you're kind of hamstrung. But I don't know. Do you guys deal with that too? What time do your suppliers open up and close? And another thing too, you know, you got Site One and you've got Stovall. But the thing about those is Stovall, they actually open at a decent hour. They open at 7:30 and they close at 5. But the thing about them is they don't sell mulch and pine straw. They do sell rocks, but they don't sell mulch and pine straw. And if you buy rocks, you buy it by the pallet. It's those pallets that's wrapped up with wire to keep it all together while it's on the trailer. I'm sure you've probably seen them before. But Site One, they open at 8, but they close at 5, which is a good thing. But the catch to that is I can't get to the other side of town by 5 o'clock. There's no way. And also, they don't open on Saturdays. And some of the suppliers around here aren't even open on Fridays, and the ones that are close at noon on Fridays. It makes you mad, man. It really does, because when you're a one-man show like I am, you know, time is everything. Time is everything. Time is money. You hear that phrase all the time, that time is money. And it's the truth, guys. It really is. Time really is money. But yeah, man, when you've got a supplier that doesn't want to have decent operating hours, man, it really is a pain in the tail. But I will say this, what would be perfect, you can't expect anyone to do this, but what would be perfect would be if the suppliers would open up at 7 o'clock in the morning and close at 6 in the evening. That would be perfect for most of us around here. But that's not going to happen, and I understand that, because, you know, they're humans too, and they want to get home to their families. They have lives they want to live as well. So it is what it is. Now, if you're a large operation and you've got a landscaping division, a maintenance division, and an irrigation division, hardscaping division, all that good stuff, you know, you got divisions to your company. Yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't bother you, because push come to shove, while your guys are out working, you can go pick up all the materials on your own, or you've got somebody that can do that for you. Or like Pebble Creek is probably the biggest residential company in my area. They keep all their stuff on site, man. They have their own bays where they have mulch dumped every week. They have 2 pine straw trailers on the property that are always at least half full. And they've also got a bay for stones and rocks and everything else. So maybe one day I can get to that point, man. But as it sits right now, I got to do what I got to do. But anyways, man, check this out, guys. I had a customer yesterday call me while I was on my last property, and they were actually pissed off at me. And guy called me. He's been out of town ever since I picked the property up. They've been out of town. It's man and woman, and I don't know if they're military or what. Don't know. Ain't really none of my business what they do for a living. But they called me and they were like, "Hey, this is so and so. You've been servicing my property for a year now." I was at the house the other day. We're actually we're back in the area now, but we're moving back in June. And man, I want to know. I left my property 2 years ago, and you've been servicing the property for about a year now, for a little over a year, and I want to know why my property looks the way it does. And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Man, I got weeds all in the yard." He said, the flower beds, there's weeds coming through the flower beds and all that good stuff. I said, "Well, for starters," I said, I don't do weed control and fertilization." I said, that was not what y'all asked for when y'all called me. I said, "If you did, I would have to send you to someone else." I said, "I don't do that." I said, "Most of the guys around here don't do both." I said, "You got a few companies that do both, but I wouldn't recommend those companies to anybody. I wouldn't recommend them to my worst enemy." I said, "But second of all," I said, all you asked me to do was cut the grass." I said, "You didn't tell me you wanted the bushes cut. You didn't tell me anything about pulling weeds or spraying for weeds or anything like that." I said, "Occasionally I do spray for weeds." I said, "But even if you spray for weeds, stuff's going to come back through every so often, and you just got to spot treat it." And I said, "There's nothing I can do about that." And I said, "You know, I've sent y'all emails telling you that your bushes need to be trimmed. If you'd like for that service to be done, let me know and I'll give you a price for it. And I've also sent you emails telling you that you need new mulch, and if you'd like that service to be done, let me know. And I've also sent you emails letting you know that the customers are running their irrigation every single day, and that in itself is a problem. For one, it floods the property out, and for two, that's why you've got so much poana in your yard, because it's getting soaking wet every single day and it's not getting a chance to dry out. I said, but the property the property actually looked the way it does right now when I first picked it up. I said, yeah, I went through there and knocked everything down with a weed eater in all the beds, and so I could actually see where the bed starts, or the bed stops and the turf starts, and I sprayed everything to keep it down for a little while, and I still spray it about once every 2 or 3 months whenever needed. I said, I don't spray it every week because that stuff's expensive, but I said, your property was out of hand before I took it over. And he said, man, that's a crying shame. He said, because I left the property in good condition. He said, it looked great, and the house ain't but 2 years old. And he said, I've been gone for a little less than 2 years. And he said, I guess the people that are living there don't do anything. They don't let us know that the bushes need to be trimmed. They don't let us know anything. And I said, well, that's the thing about tenants. I said, tenants don't care about what the property looks like. It's not their money. It's not their investment. They don't care. I said, but I've let you know that you need several services done. And he said, yeah, but I've had bad experiences with stuff like that, man. Contractors letting me know something needs to be done, and when it really doesn't need to be done, just so they can make an extra $1 or $2. And I'm like, well, I understand that, and I get that. I said, I'm not going to do you like that, but I understand you don't know me or whatever. I said, but, if you want anything done, I said, I'll send you pictures of the property every now and then, and I'll let you know that I recommend something being done about it, and I'd give you a price for it. And he said, I appreciate it. He said, but it's kind of late for that now because we're back in the area. He said, but I do want to know this. Do you do any kind of landscaping, or do you just do maintenance? I said, I do landscaping and maintenance. I said, it just depends on what you want. And I said, I don't do hardscape, I don't do irrigation, I don't do treatments, and I don't do drainage. Not yet. I don't do any of that yet. I said, maybe one day I can get into it, but as far as installs go, anything that grows, I install it. He said, all right. He said, because we're wanting to get some bushes replaced, and we're also wanting to get new mulch all the way around. Is that something you can do? I said, it is. I said, but I'm going to be honest with you up front. I said, I could definitely give you a quote for it. I said, but that quote is only going to be good for about a month. I said, it's subject to change with the way inflation is going right now. I said, everybody is going up and down in my area right now, all the suppliers. So I can give you an estimate, tell you what it is, tell you about a ballpark price about what it's going to be. But I do got to let you know it's going to be the end of July or August before I could get to anything. He said, well, that actually works out perfect. He said, because I'd rather wait till the end of September or October before I have any new plants installed. And I said, well, truthfully, that'd be ideal, because that's the best time to install plants. That's really, and that is the truth, guys. Anytime you're putting in plants or sod or anything, or trees, that's the best time to do it, is during the fall. Because what happens is, you plant that stuff in the late spring or all throughout the summer, yeah, it'll grow as long as you water it. But the problem with that is, you're not on the property. You don't know if that customer is going to keep up the watering schedule like you plan, and you just don't have time to go by there every week to check on it. So the best time to do it is in the fall, just to keep the roots from burning up in the summer heat, and it also gives time for the roots to establish themselves before the spring comes back around and all the new buds and blooms start coming in. But yeah, man, I feel like I handled that the best way I could, and it worked out. The customer kind of calmed down a little bit, smoothed things over with him, and it doesn't sound like he wants to keep me on board after he moves back in. I think he did mention that he wants to start cutting his own grass again, and I do know that he told me one time before that he had been cutting his grass with a reel mower. So if he's wanting that done, he's definitely gonna have to start doing it on his own again, because I don't own a reel mower, and I'm not fixing to go out and buy one just for that. That's a time consuming thing, and those reel mowers are expensive, man. So yeah, but yeah, man. Do you guys do that? Do you let your customers know up front that you're how much time you're out before you go give a quote? That way they're not expecting you to be able to do it right then. I do. I tell people up front, like, hey, listen, I'm about 2 months out, about 3 months out before I'm able to get to it, but I can give you an estimate and let you know how much it's going to be. I do that way in case they're impatient and they want it done right then. I'm not wasting my time going out there doing all that measuring and everything else, and then letting the customer know the quote, putting the quote together, letting them know the quote or the estimate or whatever it may be, and then they're like, great, when can you get it done? And then you're like, all right, it's going to be July or August before I can get it done. And they're like, oh man, I need this done by such and such date. And I'm like, man, I don't know what to tell you. I can't get it done by then. That saves you some heartache, man. It really does. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm first come, first serve. The first person that approves a quote, that's the order that they're going in. I may go out and measure your stuff 3 or 4 months ago, but if you take 3 or 4 months to approve a quote, guess what? As soon as you approve that quote, you get in line. You don't get in line after I go out and measure everything and quote it and estimate it and all that good stuff. That's not the way that works. And I have run into instances like that before, where the customer thought that just because I went and measured something back in December, that as soon as they approved the estimate that they could get the job done. And also, guys, do you do quotes or do you do estimates for landscaping, especially when you're several months out on stuff or several weeks out on stuff? Do you do quotes or you do estimates? There is a difference. There is a difference, and I'm going to explain the difference to some of you guys that don't know what the difference is. And the reason being, and I know there's some of you that don't know what the difference is, because this guy right here just shot me a bird because I went ahead of him, but he ain't got his damn blinker on. Anyway, I've heard several of you guys on YouTube talking about giving people an estimate on lawn care. I don't give estimates on lawn care. I give quotes on lawn care. A quote is something you giving someone a hard price, a hard quote. The price you tell them is the price it's going to be. If you give someone an estimate, you need to let that person know that, hey, look, it could fluctuate this amount either way, just depending on what I run into, depending on the suppliers and everything else. And that's also something to think about too, guys. With everything going on in the Middle East right now, and the way inflation's going, fuel has gone up. So with fuel going up like it has, everything else is going up. You know, we'll just talk about mulch, for instance. You know, these the people that mulch this wood up, it takes gasoline. It takes oil-based products to mulch that wood up. The same way with sod. Sod cutters, they're gas-powered, diesel-powered. It takes fuel to do it. It takes fuel to deliver that stuff to the supplier. The supplier has to pay a premium price for that stuff. So guess what? You've got to pay a premium price for it. So that's why I always say, and it's always been that way in my area. I know some people, I've seen people on YouTube talk about, a yard of mulch is $32. I check with my suppliers about once every 2 weeks to find out how much a yard of mulch is and how much a roll of pine straw is. Now, there is one supplier in my area. His pine straw has been the same amount for 3 years now. I quit using that guy because his pine straw is dirty. But yeah, the suppliers, their prices change too. So when I go out and do a landscaping estimate, that's exactly what I give them. I give an estimate, and I let them know that it could fluctuate this amount either way, whether it's a couple hundred, a couple thousand, $50, whatever it may be. That way, when I go and buy the materials and I do my upcharge on it and do the job, it's no surprise to the customer if it comes in higher than the price I told them, or lower than the price I told them. I know some of you guys out there have a policy in your business where you don't go lower than your price you told them. I get that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't have the overhead that a lot of you guys got, so I'm not gonna charge a customer for something that's not needed if I don't need to. So that's just the way I am. Now, when I do start hiring help and things like that, yeah, I will do things different. But anyways, guys, that's just I wanted to cover that today. There is a difference between estimates and quotes. I wanted to put that out there because I hear people say all the time they're going out to give an estimate for lawn care. You shouldn't be giving estimates for lawn care, guys. Give them a hard quote. And in that case, you've got to know your numbers, guys. That's where it comes in handy to know your numbers. Know exactly how long it's going to take you to do something. Me personally, and in my area, we do everything by the hour around here. That's just the way things are around here. We have different hourly rates for different services. Like my mowing services is $75 an hour. My bush trimming services is $85 an hour. And any kind of landscaping is $100 an hour. And with the if I'm running equipment, I demand $120 an hour. So that's just the way it is, guys. But hey, look, I hope you got something out of this. If you did, hit that like button. If not, that's fine too, man. Let me know how stupid I am down in the comments. Hit that like button anyway, man. I don't care if you didn't agree with me. Hit that like button, man. Subscribe to my channel. Help me grow this thing, dog. But hey, look, I hope y'all have a blessed day out there. It's a beautiful day. It really is. Enjoy this little cold snap while we're having it, because it's fixing to creep back up again next week. And look, man, till the next video, y'all keep cutting that grass and keep making that money. Holler at y'all.